All right. So next up, I'm pulling up the agenda again, but I think if I remember correctly, it's Eric. Yes, it's Eric on
Right.
the migration from ZenHub to GitHub projects.
Indeed. Hello. So I'm presenting a tool for migrating your ZenHub stuff to GitHub. Why is this work being prioritized? We will no longer have licenses to ZenHub at the end of the year. As you saw, I think Chris Johnston posted in VFS All Teams this morning. So a path for migration was needed. Current state is the work is completed, open sourced, and available for use. And feedback will be in the GitHub Projects COP channel on the DSVA Slack. So let's do a demo. First, I mean, it seems like we have enough time. We'll see. But this is hosted here on fly.dev. And what I want to show before I get started on this is that it is open source. And the original intention for this script was that it was just a script, and your developer on your team would run it and it would migrate your issues over. Um, but we don't have some features here, like maybe you want to move your epics over. So if you had time, an engineer's time, you could have them modify this and make it work. So let's check this out locally and make it work. So I'm going to clone the repo, cd into it. And that is, I guess, not technically in step one, but it's implied. And then the step one here would be to set a session secret. Now I have a little command that generates a session secret, but if this changed each time you went to your page or this app, it would break things. So make sure you save that if you're a developer. And then you'll just need to bundle install on a modern version of Ruby. So I leave that to the engineer to figure out how to install. And then you just run rack up, bundle exec rack up, and then it's running locally. So it's pretty simple to get running. Um, and then you can input your information here. So before I do that, I do want to point out there is a way you'll need a ZenHub token. You'll need a GitHub API token. Um, but you can generate that easily here on the ZenHub page, create a GraphQL personal API token. And then for GitHub's API token, I don't know if fine-grained tokens going to work. I developed this in like a couple days, so I haven't, or it was about 3 days. So I didn't test all of the um, possible paths, but I just created a classic token that has project access, and you can even do a 7-day expiration if you wanted. So I'm going to enter my, uh, let's see, I'll show my ZenHub board. Here are the pipelines, and you just go to the URL at the top and copy it over. And then same for your project, your GitHub project. Now, I can't remember if I think I support if you put views one here. I'm just going to remove that just in case. And then your tokens. So paste in your ZenHub token. I'm grabbing it off screen, and your GitHub token. And then here, actually, because we're running it locally, you can see the progress where it goes and fetches each of your pipelines and queries your GitHub project. And then it should show you your pipelines. This ideally would be a background job, but this hopefully is just running very infrequently. But ideally that would be done on the back, and it would show a little screen saying we're loading your project. So let's take this in here. It's showing you all of the pipelines. So if I go, we have Icebox, future initiatives, next quarter. If I go over here, same thing. This is my ZenHub pipelines. So it automatically selects issues that aren't already in your project and attempts to migrate them. So it matched up that I have a backlog column in GitHub and a pipeline called backlog. So it auto selected that for me. If for some reason you didn't like it or you wanted to change, like these, it didn't detect one. So you might want to say, hey, all of these go to backlog. And one note I just thought of, it's only migrating open issues. So if you're trying to migrate your closed issues, you'll need a developer to modify it. For us, that was many more thousands of issues. So I felt like that wasn't necessary for going forward with GitHub projects. And then also down here in progress got map, even though it wasn't spelled exactly, it's doing a close approximation. So let's drill down and look at some of these. Now it's going to cross off the ones that aren't going to be migrated, and those are the ones that aren't checked. And the ones that aren't checked because they were either already in a specific state. I think that might be the only reason if they're not already in that state. So I can hide the ones that aren't going to be migrated by checking this box up here. And then it kind of shows what it's going to happen. So this one's not in project, it's going to put it in the new one. But if we went down to say backlog, um, it was in the project, but it was in the new column. So now it's going to put it in the backlog column, or this one wasn't in the project. So it's going to put it in the backlog column because it was in the backlog pipeline. So I'm not going to migrate a bunch right now, but I will, let me refresh this. I will grab one. So this one, for example, is 628232. And then I'm just going to uncheck all. So nothing's selected. Go into the icebox, find that issue, and then select it. So it auto updates here saying this is where it's going to go. And then down at the bottom, it tells you you have one issue to migrate. And we'll on to the next step. This is the same as the previous step. If it will only replace the ones that are checked. And for this step, it's only going to replace the points that you check here. So there wasn't as many issues here. We have 91 to migrate. The UI is slightly different here. For some reason, sometimes it'll cross that out and move it over to the 3 points like it showed in the previous screen with the little arrow. But this will take your 3-point estimate on ZenHub and put it on GitHub project. So actually, I'm going to grab, well, that one's an epic. Let me grab this one here. 47. Oh, I'm not going to remember that. Okay, check that one. So that's a 3-point story. And if we look on this side, we can see it is in the project. It's not estimated. There's no points. And the other issue, it's not even in a project. So those are the two we're migrating so far. And then we'll just do one more for the sprints. So it's detected based on, so ZenHub sprints don't have sprint names like we do on our GitHub side, but it detected the dates were the same, so it mapped them together. If for some reason your June 20th one didn't find it in here for some reason, you could select it, and it would add those issues. So let's grab just this one. That'll work. And we'll go ahead and open that. This one's not in, or it is in the project. It doesn't have a sprint selected, so these are all great for the demo. We'll go to the last screen. This has all been read only so far, so it hasn't changed anything. I can review which ones I'm going to migrate, and then I can start the migration. So this, I had people clicking this button multiple times, so I have it disabled so you can't click it too many times. But now it has migrated all those. It ran in the foreground. There was not a background job, so that state might take a while if you have hundreds selected, but just be patient. And then if we refresh 68232, it now has a project. I don't believe this one had other information associated with it, as it should probably have pulled that over. And then this one, we refresh this. Now it has 3 points. And then finally, this one should have the sprint 15. And there we go. So that is ZenHub Z2G, as I call it. Although I couldn't have done it without my pair programmer, Maddie May. And she did make an appearance last demo as the awkward dog in the back. Thank you.
Oh, that, oh, that, I like your dog. I'll just
Thank you.
say that. I like that photo, especially. Well, anyway, thank you for showing us more about GitHub projects. It's nice to know all the things that are possible, especially as I don't know, I'm only like maybe 2 sprints in at this point, 1 or 2 sprints in. So it's nice to see all the things that I could possibly do.